do you think will win?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm furious.
And Parker, of course, is so angry. I could see it on his red face.
Well, let's get underway. Our very final semifinal of this Mexico Major. One team has already secured their spot in tomorrow's grand finals. Today, a European squad will match up against them. Who will it be? Starting out on Kafe Dostoevsky, this is BDS's map, and they'll be starting on defense as well.
Thatcher band out here to start things off from BDS. Empire will follow that up with their attacker band. Let's see what they get rid of. I don't think I need to explain the Thatcher band to most people, but in case you're wondering, he is a very potent operator. And as gadgets go, his magic eraser of an EMP is very powerful and just disabling pretty much everything. Nomad is a similarly potent operator and often used on Kafe, so a much more targeted band there from Empire on the attack, as you can deny the flank watch. This is something also we've seen from Empire before in this tournament. They've played Kafe already, and they've looked really good here, so not surprised to see them get rid of the Nomad, because considering how well I've seen them watch their flanks on this map already.
Just to break down the statistics on this map for the Mexico Major, Empire has played Kafe twice, Michael. They have a 1-1 record on it. As for BDS, they've only played it once. They are 1-0, but it was still BDS's choice. And that partially goes back to their record in the European League, where they have victories over both Rogue and Empire with a loss to Na'Vi. So if you're Empire, you're hoping to channel Na'Vi in the EU League and not yourself with the performance that came in just a couple months ago.
Yeah, and this is also a map that Empire and BDS actually played against each other on in the EU well. So...
No, I just said that.
No, I thought you said a different team.
No, Empire versus BDS.
Oh, I thought you said Empire versus Na'Vi.
No, I said they want to be more like Na'Vi than they were themselves.
Oh, that's very confusing.
Because Na'Vi... Okay, you know what?
That's a terrible way of saying it.
I don't think it's that confusing.
It's certainly confusing.
You want to fight after this?
Absolutely.
I'm down.
Now, BDS are going to be starting on the top four, and they will be bringing the Clash. Aruni Gate's going down. Pretty standard setups, it looks like, so far. It's a good way to open up the 4 like that. So that hole actually being made there by the Aruni, that's going to be for C4s into Cigar from below. So you can expect a roam from BDS at some point, probably downstairs.
I don't think it was that confusing.
Ow, that's loud. Ow. I have to turn you down.
I turned you down.
How come? Who stands here? Is this Stokes
Blue.
or is this Blue?
That's Blue.
This is Blue?
Yeah.
Blue, are you deaf?
Yeah, Stokes is already a very loud person. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
when I get sat down here, I was like, man, he is so loud in my ears. He needs to be a little bit quieter. And then I realized that maybe Blue is quiet and Stokes is deaf.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, I'm genuinely like half deaf, and my ears hurt. I'm gonna adjust the volume. All right, we're good. I can hear you now. Sorry, what were you saying?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing at all. Anyway.
So as per usual.
Let's get underway with the very first round. A cocktail defense upstairs for BDS. No room for error when the attackers push down upon you. Shooting away, potentially see if there's a C4 there. Some teams will play very aggressively, waiting for that hatch to open up and toss a nitro cell on out.
Yep.
Debris will fly upwards. Scattered across the roof of Kafe Dostoevsky as they now drone in from red. And very quickly, the Selma's tossed out by Dan will open up the wall leading into Ticket, or if you want to call it Cocktail Bar. Theana goes through to break the laser gate, and now drone work will go in as well. RaFaL will be the only player from BDS inside of Cocktail. His position is over by Pixel on that Clash.
Cocktail.
Relatively impervious, or sorry, on Pixel inside a piano.
Okay, I was really confused there.
I was confused.
I was like, that's the other site.
Does anyone the little cocktail bar?
Has anyone ever called the little cocktail bar a cocktail bar though? Because Cocktail is one of the bomb sites.
Because I'm aware.
Okay. Because I don't know. I'm confused now. Oh, ShepparD using the stuns to clear out whatchamacallit. Basically anything. Could be ADSs, could be running games. Oh, Lems is playing with fire, but he won't fully commit. I'm not sure why he's going to poke his head out there. Maybe just as a distraction to allow a rotation. I'm surprised he didn't fully commit to that fight. He could have gotten the first pick of the round.
Well, they'll open up the rest of this wall. I don't know if they've droned out RaFaL. There is a mute jammer positioned by the couch, so maybe that information wasn't available for them. Either way, Dan has essentially wasted 2 of those Selma charges, which is unideal. Out goes that Rotero drone and it'll go off, but it gets stopped by that mute jammer. That single mute jammer is causing so many issues for Empire right now. They cost themselves one Rotero drone, and then they cost themselves those Selmas. Additionally, Surya Gate is back online. Another Rotero drone will go in, this time unimpeded by jammers. Final 40 seconds left, and everybody is still alive. So it'll be an all-out brawl into the site. Skylight drop is in the cards, and Alem, playing by that reading door, has an advantage here. He looks the other way, and it's an easy kill for Always to start this off. He'll immediately repel on upwards. BriD refrags with JoyStiCK trying to keep his team intact. He's not going to be able to trade off, and through the wall, the Clash takes some damage, but no, it's actually none other than RaFaLe to push on up and stop him with the shield and then pull out the sidearm. Trading back and forth as Empire cannot hit their shot. BDS is bullying them, and they'll take the first round.
Good round there from BDS to start things off. Defense upstairs was solid. Interesting hard destruction used on that wall to try and pressure Cocktail, but ultimately Empire's lack of success in picking off the players early ended up being to their undoing. This is particularly relevant because one of the things that Empire is known to be good at is transferring a 5 versus 5 30 seconds round after clearing out the roamers to a win. Empire are usually very proficient in this situation. And there were a couple things done there by BDS that made it very difficult to, for Empire to see the same success as they're used to. I think the Clash was a particularly large component.
Absolutely, and of course what is commonly played as was the second most played bomb site, but is now seemingly fallen to third with Cocktail's rise again as that second to the kitchen defense downstairs.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Nothing too surprising on the operator lineups here apart from the Kali from Empire. No Clash being brought by BDS this time. That Clash was so effective in denying the push by Pixel. I really want to know what Empire is going to do with the Kali. Frankly, I'm not so sure that I like that pick. We're talking about Kafe here. There's only one place where Kali is actually going to be useful, and that's in Bakery. So if you're worried about getting open that Bakery wall, Kali's a great pick, but we're not going to the bottom floor, so maybe it's just a miscalculation there from Empire expecting to go downstairs. We'll see how they make it work here. ShepparD is often good on these utility-focused roles, and see if he can land those shots. Kali's rough if you miss, even just once.
There's a reason why we tend to see players gravitate towards those high rate of fire weapons here on land, Michael. The Roni obviously being a big one, though the MP5 actually outmuscles the P90, despite P90 having a higher rate of fire.
Yeah, I mean, that's because the P90's damage is actually like darts.
In the negatives.
Yeah, it's if you put a suppressor on it, I think at a certain range, like maybe 20
it gives
meters.
Them more health back.
Yeah, it heals them.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like Dog's Stim Pistol.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. That's what I've heard as well.
Yes. So that's, I mean, obviously it doesn't heal your teammates, so it only works one way. That's why you don't see the P90 very much. Empire, firm control of the roof. Lems will drop down there. He does have C4 in his pocket, so when the moment is right, he can C4 through some of these pre-made holes to possibly get a kill. Got a clone going in there. That's going to get caught nice and easy from RaFaLe.
He's going to contend on those window repels that you see inside a piano, and he'll fall back off of his position from Pixel. So still holding onto the map control on that top floor, but a little bit more tenuous for BDS. As drones have been placed out for Empire, especially on the flank. One right now positioned to watch red stairs, should they decide to take any part of that second floor and then worry about a run out. And speaking of a run out, there's BDS doing one on their own. Elemzje cannot catch it though. Because of the angle, he'll do significant damage, but get back in without risking his life. Though, the call will come out from Empire that one of their players is downstairs in kitchen. So you don't need to worry too hard about having full coverage on that top floor and second floor. Just basic mathematics can tell you exactly where they are. In terms of Selmas, not exactly the most useful so far for Dan. He's been thwarted by another mute jammer, and then he gets beaten by an ADS. Doesn't need to take control of bathroom, but he will open up one of the walls leading into Cocktail, while Scyther's the one just raising the charge.
Scyther on top of the bar to try and make it the engagement in his favor. On angle often will give you the advantage. BDS have fallen off this top floor, but they're still trying to contest by white stairs, and well, they'll fall back in due time because Empire once again find themselves with just the last 40 seconds and only the first casualty coming out, it's JoyStiCK to die first.
He was already whittled down from the run out from Elemzje earlier on, so there wasn't too much of him left, only half of his HP. An easy collapse for BDS to secure the rest of that kill. As Empire now inch their way towards the bomb site, they are at the mercy of the clock, as now they've equaled things out with Elemzje going down. Dan, a big two-piece, and can he get some more? BriD will try to hold it steady for his team. He does just that, out-dueling ShepparD. Down goes Shaiiko, and Dan is now the one to do it here as he walks on in. They hear the Banshee, but they don't know that BriD is still there. He tries for a rodeo, can't do it, and now slowed down. They'll need to pick up that diffuser. Dan bleeding out, and oh my goodness, RaFaL cleans up, and BDS takes round number 2.
As close as it gets there, Parker, 1 versus 1 and the dying seconds. What an intense moment for both teams, and BriD really huge plays with the shotgun to lock that one in for his team. Obviously, it's RaFaL upstairs to get the final kill, but, I mean, it's mostly down to BriD. That team kill, by the way, in case you're wondering what was going on there was no way he was going to be able to pick him up. You got to shoot him to get the plant down.
Exactly. He killed him because Dan was blocking the spot where the plant needed to go. So,
I mean, and he wasn't going to get the plant anyway, but
yes,
he was trying. That's just Empire trying everything they could.
Well, I don't know if they had RaFaL's position. I don't know if they
True.
knew where it was,
True.
whether he's up top or not. But at the same time, I think Always was a touch too slow. When Dan goes in, I bet the comms went something like this. I'll plant, I'll plant, I'll plant. All right, I've got you. And Always was just a step too slow, and BriD was right on his heels.
Yeah, if the first plant attempt wasn't stopped by BriD, I think it might have been a very different story. If you like the story that BDS are so far writing, you can pick up their skin in the store. Esports tab, nice and easy peasy to find. It's a good way to support the team directly. Oh,
it's a nice skin.
Like what they're doing with this. Yeah, it is a nice skin.
Empire, by the way. Empire has one too.
10 seconds
yes, both teams have skins.
Yes.
I like
used by Aruni, but
yeah.
Everybody, if you're a sane Aruni playing on LAN right now, you're using the Ronin.
I like what I'm seeing here from the setup, what they're doing with the Tachanka LMG, opening up that wall. So that means that the Tachanka is going to be able to play far back, and he can use his Molotovs from like a distance to deny. I'm assuming, of course, that Renshiro will have like good lineups for that. We don't know if that is the case definitively, but it would make sense given the way that, you know, they picked Tachanka, they set up this site, all just kind of would line up.
Down goes the drone as the hatches get opened up on the top floor. So far, BDS do not look like they've slowed down from previous matches in the group stage where they went 5-1, and they'll attempt kitchen. I was going to say they will attack the kitchen site, but then realize how that could be confusing as they're not on attack.
Yeah, that would be really confusing.
Even though they are trying to attack the kitchen as a defender perspective, but I mean, we get lost.
You know, attacker, defender, who really cares, right?
Exactly. Who says, you know, potato, potato?
Yeah, tomato, tomato.
Nobody says potato.
Yeah, I think there are people who say tomato, though.
Yes.
That is the thing here.
The British.
Really?
Tomato.
Vertical play here from Empire as they gain control of the floor. Hammered down, breaches out. Let's see if they can fish for a pick, but BDS has set up this site in a way that is not particularly exposed to the vertical, so I wouldn't be surprised if no pick happens.
Yeah. As long as that sledge is up there and he's not felled by a nitro cell, then Always will be able to exert great influence over the execute, because there are a couple routes that defenders will try to retake from, either to retake in a post plant or to retake the site to prevent the diffuser from being planted. If Always persists in his particular location, he can cut off almost every single one of those rotates. And it's very easy with a low recoil gun like the L85 to be able to pick them off between those metal bars. We've seen some players have trouble dueling the defenders down below, but it's not much of an issue for Always.
So nothing too exciting so far. Shiro playing by Bakery with a Lems. Nate's going out to try and get one of those players in Bakery. It's going to net nothing. Empire once again, little time, no picks. This seems a lot like the first 2 rounds already.
Absolutely a sluggish start for Empire, where BDS is the team that has, so far through this tournament, had some issues finding their footing, but ShepparD is in. Okay. They're trying to flame him off, but instead the default plant spot is going on to Scyther. ShepparD taking tons of damage, but it goes down all the same. BDS finds the scoreboard, as does Empire. Scyther on the flank manages to take out BriD. No retake for the smoke. Renshiro will take up top. He still has 8 of those Molotovs in the Shaiiko launcher. But he'll be in a battle to the death He's going to stand off. Dan is directly to his left. Look at all that caliber-based destruction. And he'll play around, easily dueling Dan, but Always is up there. Still in that spot, unshaken. RaFaL with no yokai drones available at the moment. A grenade will go out, pushing him from his position. He'll try for the retake, but Empire looking quite keen, and only 3 seconds left. RaFaL knows that he's doomed, whether he gets to it or not. Always says, not this time. Empire pick up their very first round of the match.
Well done to Empire just locking in on their plant spot, deciding, you know what, we're going to go for it, come what may. Though I do have to point a finger at BDS because, frankly, the Tachanka was brought and set up in a way specifically to counter what we just saw, and it partially worked. It did kill the coverage from the freezer. But there was also another contingency for BDS, and that's the yokai drones from RaFaL. And he had it pre-placed where it ought to be to deny the plant, and then he brought it down to the floor as the plant was going down. And then by the time it was back up, the plant was already down. So, whoops. So yeah, I'm gonna point a finger at the echo there of RaFaL and Renshiro onto Tachanka. There was definitely plenty of denial in their pockets. They could have certainly stopped that plant. It seemed like that was the plan, and I think that had the plan gone the way that they wanted, we would have seen another BDS round. Well done to Empire though. Even though there were mistakes made by BDS, they still won it, and you have to commend Empire for just knowing what the plan is and committing to it.
Yeah, the lack of intel was really critical there. It was very clear that the idea was to get the yokai, as you said, to be able to scout out and then give that information to Renshiro. And don't get me wrong, those Molotovs from Renshiro did a great deal of work, but 5 seconds too late.
Yeah, and not the work exactly that we needed at the moment. I guess I like the setup though from BDS. It's very clever, and I have to say I want to see that again from them, hopefully in this map, and I want to see it work because I know it can. So it's just a cool thing. We're going back upstairs here for BDS though. They're not going to give us the bottom floor one more time. They're going to switch things up. We'll see what they choose to do here on this next attempt at the top floor. Last time it was really good, mostly thanks to the clash.
The clash and the mute combo with BriD's jammer being positioned behind the couch and allowing BDS to hold their position without too much trouble. Empire will need to do a better job of clearing that out because they had wasted some Selmas in the process and a ton of time. Because of that, they weren't able to gain control of a very crucial part of that top floor. With a bomb site like Bar and Cocktail, the very top floor of Kafe Dostoevsky, it means that, well, if you can't get the edges of the map before you can get to the bomb site, you don't really have much control at all because there is no roof or floor above to deal with. Is that both Goyo shields that just went down with a single grenade?
Yeah, that is 2 for 1 right there.
Very impressive stuff. Claiming both pieces of that utility from the defenders.
I don't know if it was intentional, but I mean, I'll take it. Right? If I'm one of the attackers, that is an ideal result. Now, Empire does have also control of Cigar. They're using these drones to great effect, clearing some of the barbed wire, also other utility. There are 2 players from BDS inside of Freezer right now. It's very dangerous to play that clumped up.
And there's going to go a Rotero drone deep inside, and it blows up inside of the bathroom, trying to maybe move the clash out of that spot. But no, there's nothing to go. All of those Aruni gates still appear to be upright for the moment, so some utility will need to be burned to take care of them. You've got 30 seconds until they come back online, so if you disable them with only a little left on the clock, you don't need to worry about them going back up. The clash pushing up into Piano, by the way, as there's just a bit over a minute to go, and everybody's still upright.
Yeah, that's my main worry right now if I'm Team Empire is that clash, and they'll fall back actually. That's RaFaL playing it safe, and it's still a problem though, because what are you going to do? How are you going to push this? I mean, you don't have the tools necessary apart from maybe nades, and you've only got one of those left.
RaFaL being shot away at, but that protective shield will keep him safe for now, as Dan looks to edge his way into the site. Surya Gate above him making some noise, and he knows that they'll be back online relatively soon. Pixel angle played out, as JoyStiCK knows that they have one in a tough position, and that's Shaiiko, who now falls off, but he's caught by Always. 7th kill for the newest member of Empire. Down will go BriD as well, and Empire looking far more formidable. The Clash toying with them, but every single member of BDS is falling, and with the exception of the Clash, it could be a flawless, and it will be! Empire equalized. They had a slow start here on BDS's Kafe, but they're all tied up.
Wow, Parker. So the clash was definitely the biggest problem there for Team Empire, but clearly not as much of a problem as it was the last time they attacked that top floor. Managing to dismantle all of the other defenders one by one, that's just impressive. Good calls, good communication, good coordination from Empire. We even out.
Well, down to reading and fireplace. As for BDS, they are unlikely, as it goes, to play all 4 bomb sites, but the real question will be what happens in that fateful 6th round. Kitchen did not go in their favor, but I would argue that some of the issues they had on Kitchen are quite easily fixed.
Yeah, no, I think that BDS is set up downstairs. I would, as I said earlier, I would like for them to repeat it because we've seen it almost work, and it very certainly could have worked. It's just the timing and the positioning of those Molotovs. You know, a little bit more aggressive with the Molotovs, I don't think Empire would have won that round. I mean, there's so many now, too, and they're so much more effective. They last longer. They're larger. I mean, they do everything you could really want in terms of a Molotov. So, yeah, I mean, be more aggro with the mollies. But we're not seeing that bottom floor defense anymore, Parker. It's to reading. Maybe you'll see bottom floor for the last round.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
So far, these teams have tied up, and Empire is keeping it close. This is historically a much stronger map for BDS, but next up is going to be even more interesting. Before we get there, we can spend a second, as these teams still do some setup work, to talk about this coastline map. This is a map that Empire bans very frequently and hasn't played in ages, and yet here it is.
Up next, yeah. And
Well, I mean, here it is, as in, like, it will be played. It's in a map.
Are you sure we're not playing coastline right now?
We're not on coastline, actually.
Are you
and then, of
positive?
course, our favorite map console will send us out if we need a third one, Michael.
I thought there was a lot of snow on coastline. Maybe I'm drawing a blank on that one.
That's what this guy's going to be like.
I'm reloading.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. What'd you say? Please repeat.
I said that's what this cast is going to be like, huh?
Yep,
All right.
that's what we're doing.
Okay. I enjoy a good contentious broadcast.
You started it. I had to.
Droning in from the top and the skylight, even though it's a reading defense, similar setup to the previous round, but oh, that's not a good one. A grenade from Always. Well, he's been racking up the kills, but this one is not the one that he wants, especially with how crucial those Rotero drones are. The way that Empire's been using them has been on the floor to create lines of sight from down below, and this might be a done round already. BDS capitalizing off of it, all right. And that's a flawless of their own, despite them not getting all 5 kills. Nobody from BDS dies, and in a minute and 30 seconds, round number 5 goes back to the French squad.
Shaiiko just got what was essentially a collateral, a 2-for-1 lining up on the cigar door. But I mean, frankly, Parker, that entire round was through and through BDS. It started off with the nade from Always. So you call him Always the Berserker. He's so filled with rage and bloodlust that he's killing his teammates when he can't find an opponent. And after that, Empire, I mean, they're just taking challenges one after another and losing them one after another.
He just cannot stop fragging.
He can't, yeah. He's got so many kills on his team, on the other team.
It's a curse.
He's such a potent fragging machine that
Defenders
he just has to
protect
kill
your bombs
everything
from
in
being
sight. He
defused
sees
by
red and he
attackers.
can't stop himself. But you know what you can stop yourself from doing? Definitely not buying the skins.
It's like,
You have
how
to buy
are
this.
you going to shoehorn the skin at the bottom of the screen?
Yeah, I was waiting to I want to see if you were trying to predict it.
Yeah.
Bomb located by attackers.
Well, final defense now for Team BDS. Empire had some momentum going, and then an unfortunate team kill cost one of the players on Empire their lives, and a very crucial member of the team, ShepparD, who has been enjoying quite thoroughly the Flores.
Yeah.
He's going to go on to KD. Almost assuredly using the Team Empire skin on that DMR, by the way.
I would imagine so, yeah.
I hope so.
It's the superior of the two weapons.
Well, I mean, the boss G was only relevant because of Bikini Body, lead developer of Rainbow Six Siege. Didn't you hear?
I did hear about that, Parker.
Could see you roll your eyes.
Yeah. Yep.
Elemzje is going for a spawn peek, by the way, and this is a risky gambit because if there's any team capable of punishing you for that, it's very easily Empire.
Yep. Both of these teams are really good at actually punishing these aggressive plays, but you can see BDS is feeling one, feeling confident, going for these peaks, these challenges. Shaiiko going to do just that. So he saw the tracers coming in. He's worried about something on RaFaL here, but he might actually be able to get a kill if he gets aggressive there. Elemzje might be able to, as he's going to try and run out. Ooh, but the vault prompt was not ready, and because of that, he just punches and walks away. He will do a lot of damage to JoyStiCK. So, no kill, but it's an effective roam.
ever elusive as now he joins up with Renshiro, both of them holding this top floor. They've wasted a minute so far of Empire's time as one drone gets picked away at and some intel from Empire falls away. Grenade goes down, but it does not hit its intended target. Renshiro takes some damage, but not enough, not the way that they wanted, and he will hit the deck. And yes, there you go. There's the Empire skin if you want it on the DMR. Nice colors there. Also available on a Rooney.
Yes, because
She's a good one.
yeah.
So, 90 seconds in, and Empire have seemingly claimed control of that top floor. There's more for them to do.
Unseen benefit of reusing guns, Parker.
That's true.
You get the gun-specific skins on more
Exactly.
things. No. Scyther and the rest of Empire above firm control. Dropped down into pillar, and now they're going to try and extend this into the middle floor. This is a bottom floor defense here for BDS, but they haven't brought the Tachanka this time. They bet on it, and they didn't feel comfortable with it, so they're going to play more conventionally this time around. Same, much more standard setup, especially with that wall in the middle. Now, the problem for Empire has historically been through these rounds, time. And it's going to start presenting itself yet again here, as the vertical is only just starting, and we're at the last 45.
Well, some very nice NDC4ing will open up a greater point of view for Always Above, who set up office in the exact same spot. A bit of a miss. Unfortunate for him. He doesn't want to deal with the defender down below, spraying some bullets up in his direction. He's got good and firm control. A retake came in from Renshiro last time around, but you're absolutely correct. Only 30 seconds to go, and Shaiiko still above. Nobody knew he was up there. Now Always will perish. Another for Shaiiko as he drops. The Frenchman is unstoppable, rotating through Fireplace, finally shut down as Empire puts it into a 3v3, but the clock working against them. Down goes one more, inside of the site. Diffuser needs to be planted by ShepparD. Yokai picked away at Dan, doing great cleanup work. BriD.BDS is miles away from this diffuser getting down. They're halfway through for ShepparD, and BriD.BDS has a nitro cell lined up perfectly, but it gets the wrong target. It takes out Dan as ShepparD survives, and BriD.BDS watches the doorway. A grenade will go in to stop his advance. He'll have to wait for it to detonate, and the clock will continue to work against him. Looking towards Freezer, he doesn't see the diffuser, but he knows it's in the default spot. He pops up, the Dokkaebi is there.
Oh no.
Shotgun out, he's at close range, but no, Scyther won't let him jiggle peek the doorway. The first half in the books, and both teams emerge with the same score line of 3 rounds apiece.
Wow, Parker. Incredible micro counterplay from both teams. It's these on-the-fly kind of decisions that really allow space for your teammates to move and to plant the diffuser, to get the coverage down. Little things like that nade. Stopping BriD.BDS from pushing in through double door for just that extra second and a half from the nade, that goes a long way. And it allowed the rotation from those players on Empire in the post plant, and it allowed them to play safe with their round instead of risk the challenge on bunker against a player like BriD.BDS. You don't want to take that risk. So, well done to Empire. BDS, once again, their denial by bunker. Serious problem. And they're going to need to address that in some dry runs and some scrims after this match. But their defensive half is done now. Now it's time for Empire to take their turn, and we'll see how they defend this bomb site. And other bomb sites, believe it or not.
They're going to need at least 4 defenses.
Yes.
So, but... No, I was just, you said defense, I think there's going to be more defenses, that's all. Let's just explain. Never mind.
Today's a silly day, Parker.
It shouldn't be. It's the semifinals.
It's a very intense semifinal, too. With the siege that we're seeing from both of these teams, razor's edge.
Yeah.
It's the sort of stuff that the smallest decision makes the largest difference, and the cascading effect is unquestionable. Again, the most obvious one that I'm going to reference is that nade. I feel like that's a really good example, but we've been seeing that throughout the entire match so far. And it's really cool because you don't actually get a lot of these matches where both teams are capable of playing at the same level, frankly. Usually it's either one team is just obviously worse than the other, or they counter each other in a particular way, but both of these squads, they're not hard countering one another, and they're both extremely talented, and that's why we get a 3-3 half.
And it'll go down to the bitter end most likely, Michael.
Yep. I would hope so.
I very much hope so. I would love to see more out of these two teams. It might be our only chance to cast them for quite a while.
Well, we're gonna. Yes, it might be.
I mean, we're going to cast one of them, you know, tomorrow. But
I didn't want to say it.
we don't get to cast them playing against each other.
Right. Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we talked about this at the beginning. You know, Europe versus Europe. It's a very cool thing for us.
Yes.
It's novel these days. Years ago, it used to be every day, but just it's been a long time.
Well, BDS looking to clear up that top floor as the sites that have been most successful thus far for Empire are Kitchen and Cocktail. So they might want to try to do the same thing here, and Renshiro doesn't. Oh no! Always on cams, distracted and not looking as he doesn't hear the ceiling above him explode into splinters and smithereens.
That was hard to watch, Parker.
That was quite tough. Yes, I will agree with you on that one.
But I mean, still damage done, right? So an edge for BDS when it comes down to that team fight. They're going to be in a slight advantage.
Yeah. And now they'll look to advance towards that freezer doorway, or the freezer wall rather, as some of it has been opened up for them very conveniently, but there is a single Banshee to stop them, should they choose to go that route.
And there's also Dan in this position. Dan has been landing his shots through the tournament so far. He's been a very effective player as players go.
Rotero drone will go off as the sledging continues from above. Some respects paid to G2 with the sledge skin adventure.
I will say this has been a much faster attack from BDS when compared to Empire's. They've got about 15, 20 more seconds than Empire had at the same position.
ADS gets eaten out and a toxic cloud will erupt in front of Shaiiko's eyes. He has no path on in. JoyStiCK falls to Renshiro. Lead-off kill goes in favor of BDS. Both of these teams relatively evenly matched with 30 seconds to go. Another EE1D burn to try and keep them at bay. Beautiful shot from Shaiiko, those are just so easy for him. Down goes Dan, the diffuser being planted by BriD in the middle of the site. A Yokai will look to go in, ShepparD stops BriD, Shaiiko slaps down Always, and he'll continue to march forward as it's Scyther in a 1v4. That Yokai drone could potentially do good work. They know exactly where he is, and RaFaL will punish him for it with that information, giving BDS the lead.
Well, BDS definitely looking like the better team in that round, and good use of the EE1D there to make it so they knew exactly where Scyther was so that they could avoid any kind of potential denial. The Yokai drones both shot really well by Empire, good control, or excuse me, by BDS, good control of the denial. And it's the same problem for both teams now, Parker. Have you noticed that? Same defensive setups for the most part?
Yep.
Except for that Tachanka thing, and both teams able to plant behind bunker.
There was a lot of talk last night when these two teams punched their tickets to the semifinals about how they do play a relatively similar style.
Very.
And because of that, it's tough to beat yourself. And that's essentially what's going to happen here for a lot of these teams. Very similar to how Empire and SSG matched up very well against one another.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent point. I mean, I think
similar unmoving styles would be what I would say.
Yeah, and it results in pretty predictable rounds, I would say. As soon as Empire was able to open above the site there, and they hadn't incurred any casualties, and there was still 50 seconds left, I was thinking to myself, yep, BDS won that round. And Empire definitely struggled.
10 seconds left before.
I don't think that we're going to see a lot more defense on the bottom floor. If these teams, let's say we go to overtime, if these teams can avoid bottom floor, I think they will. Frankly, we've seen both squads really struggle with that defense. And I don't expect it to change. Just because of how easy it is for them on attack to isolate that bunker position. And you see, that's actually something worth bringing up. There are still to this day top-tier teams that struggle with their attacking strategies, and that's neither of these rosters, for sure.
No, an Empire starting first means that on what can be described often as a map that's favorable for defenders, Empire walks away with 3 rounds, and that sets a good tempo and gives you some breathing room should we see Team BDS climb back. And while that first round, like you said, is characterized by the similarities of these two teams. So with that said, instead of going back downstairs to Kitchen, Empire moves up top to Cocktail and Bar.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Droning out here by Red, just trying to figure out what they've got going on. Cigar will be the focus. They're going to open up into the ticket bar.
Kind of looks like a rocket ship.
Very particular kind of rocket ship, yes.
A specific type of rocket ship,
specific type, yes. That actually, so what they're doing there with that hole is, yes, it is a crouchable hole if you do it right. But it's hard to do that one right. I've seen that one messed up before a number of times, and I hope for BDS's sake that they didn't mess it up here. We'll see. Rocket ship.
Space Station, are you here?
No, sorry, they went home.
Oh, yes, of course. And they'll go through the rocket ship all the way in to take control of Cigar and then Piano as well. Over by Ticket. Half of the round has gone by. You wouldn't think that from the pace that these two teams have set. Out by the window, this is going to be a double run out, and there they go. They managed to cut down Renshiro, and then RaFaL will fall, but trade it off. So the gamble from Empire works out briefly before being answered back. 2 players from the defensive team now down for the count. That leaves the remaining players of BDS huddled up on one side of the map, and they're going to have to cut through the remainder of it to get that diffuser planted.
Only 50 seconds here for BDS to make it happen, and that nade could be good, but oh no, Shaiiko punished for the throw, and the nade is also caught by an ADS, so Empire find themselves in a great position as Elemzje repels onto Heaven. This is very dangerous. He's being challenged by 2 different angles, and he's going to go down. Now it's just BriD, 1 versus 3. He's got a lot of time to work with, but not a lot of power.
On defense, there's nobody I want more in a clutch situation than BriD, but on an attack, with mirror windows still up and Alden in play, not a ton of utility. I don't know how I feel about that one, and Empire obviously feels good about it as they take that round after bleeding BDS dry earlier on.
We're seeing very confident wins from both teams here, Parker.
Yes.
And it's a back and forth, too, that doesn't seem to have anything to do with attack or defense. And that, I think, is one of the ways you could describe peak Siege. In my opinion, what I'm watching right now is some peak Siege. But that's just my take. I wonder if the finals are going to be just as exciting.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, with the way that Team 1 has played thus far, it doesn't matter who they go up against. It will be a thrilling showdown.
Yep. That's what I talked about yesterday.
I know.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
The real question I have, and we're getting a little off topic here, but we got to brief pause for some reason. I think it was just the server loading. We're a little off topic, but the real question I have for the finals, and it's the only relevant question that I think there is can Team 1 actually play like they've been playing over the last 3 days tomorrow? That is the only thing that I think is that relevant for the finals. If they play like they've been playing throughout this tournament, oh boy, that's going to be an exciting match for either Empire or BDS, whoever wins here.
Yeah.
But if not, then I think it'll be a stomp.
I mean, we need to get through this matchup before we can even begin.
No, I told you,
because I do think that both BDS and Empire, despite their similarities with each other, I think they will match up differently against.
Oh yeah,
I think so.
We'll talk about that later, but it's an interesting observation. We've got a top floor setup here for Team Empire. Lots of heavy utility investment, reinforcements, got the Surya gates, some interesting holes being made in the long bar, barbed wire as well, all the things. This is a reading defense, not a mining defense, so you get the reinforced by that chimney, by that fireplace, sorry. I wonder how we're going to see BDS address this one. It's probably going to be a vertical. I imagine they're going to try and punish the top. You know, get as many picks as they can upstairs, then transfer that to the site hit as we see Empire do. Because we've been talking about how their attacks are very similar to these teams. The defensive setups have a little bit of variety, but the attacks in general are pretty much the same across the board. So I'm imagining BDS will take it to Cigar as a standard. They'll try to clear all the way to Cocktail as a standard. They'll start opening up above with their Sledge as a standard. And then they'll isolate the reading door, go for a plant. Do I have to say it?
Yes, say it.
As a standard.
I said say it, don't whisper.
Wait, is that distinction relevant?
Hold on a second here. Oh, an immediate stun from Elemzje. Dan is down for the count. He went for a run out, but RaFaL was prepared and ready with the EE1D burned off. BDS does not allow Empire to do the damage earlier that they were wanting to do. Unideal.
Elemzje is ready for that run out, obviously. Nice pre-fire there, as that's a C4 angle that is commonly used. Claymore on the white window, so if that vault does happen, then Elemzje is going to get a kill. He might die still, but he'll get the kill off the Claymore for sure.
And there's another E1D to go. Utility from Elemzje is almost expended at this point. 1 minute to go. It sure seems like the round count for BDS is going much faster. And oh, the carbine of the Jaeger is spotted by Elemzje, and he's calling this one out. And he'll do some significant damage before JoyStiCK can swing around and obliterate Elemzje on the stairs. Shaiiko down below. He's going to contest against ShepparD, and he wins that one outright. Still, JoyStiCK took a lot of damage in that altercation. Shaiiko can see the bomb site. He can taste it. It's BriD to be the one to get that diffuser down. They know that Shaiko's position is still there, and always with the Roni, guns down Renshiro. He'll rotate, get closer to the site, and now he can head over to reading. We don't know exactly where that diffuser is going to be delivered to. Shaiiko sure is distracting them, but so is BriD. He's got the case. He'll need to deliver it on in. He's also going to deliver some pain to Always in the same process. Grenade tossed out with 30 seconds remaining for Shaiiko, taking out the doorway to reading, giving them safe passage. Shaiiko doesn't want to go in that direction, though. Instead, he'll cross back over to 90. Grenade in hand. He thinks somebody's back over by white stairs. It'll go, but there's no target there. In fact, the last two members from Empire are both in a similar spot inside a reading. They're prepared and ready. Down goes JoyStiCK and BDS look all but certain to regain the lead, depending on what Scyther can do with this one. BriD getting the diffuser down. Does he have any intel? Yes, he does, but so does Shaiiko, who was phenomenal that round, and BDS etches yet another in the win column.
And we talk about when Shaiiko is popping off and the fact that if he's in his zone, it's really hard to stop him from persevering. And that's what we're seeing right now. Shaiiko is walking from location to location and just winning gunfights across the board. The really amazing thing about it is that Shaiiko is taking almost no risk in his positioning. We saw, for example, him creeping up on 90. And at that moment, Empire, they knew someone was coming up on 90. They wanted to punish that. They wanted to get a kill and bring themselves back into the man count advantage. But they didn't, and they couldn't. Why? Because Shaiiko was too careful. He didn't peek anything he knew he couldn't control with his gun. He didn't leave himself vulnerable. Even when punching the barbed wire, he kept himself nice and safe. So that's just the awareness from Shaiiko, the game sense you could call it. And BDS are definitely leveraging that to great effect right now, as he has currently the most kills in the lobby at 10. Could be another reading defense here for Empire. They feel they can correct it.
Well, there's obviously something that they didn't like about that one. That early run-out was the very first snowflake that eventually led to an avalanche, Michael. And from there, BDS just needed to trade out, and that's what they did, effectively trading through that mid-round despite good play from JoyStiCK.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Empire, they just got out-dueled in their few altercations they ended up in. Also, those 2 rounds, Shaiiko has been an absolute phantom. He has flown just sight unseen around Empire and been able to exploit the blind spots.
He's been a phantom menace against Empire.
That's correct.
I imagine. Lucy on the roam here inside a train.
Oh, if Empire makes it to the finals tomorrow, the Star Wars puns that will come.
Oh, so many, I imagine.
I sat on the Empire Strikes Back for like a year.
Yeah, you were waiting, I know. You told me about it.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Well, not actually a year, since the 6th rotation.
It's a pretty long time.
That's a long time. Anywho, all right, round number 10 for BDS. This could be match point, barring a success on this attack. With the way that teams have played out so far, it has been a seesaw back and forth. Going all the way to round number 4, no team has won 2 rounds in a row. BDS did so earlier on, immediately followed by Empire, but since then they've just traded blows. And with 2 teams as evenly matched as they are, well, that's what we come to expect. Even though BDS are in the lead, for Empire, you need to be proud of this result up until this moment, because this is a much stronger map for BDS historically than it is for Empire.
Yep.
Additionally, this is BDS's map choice.
Yep.
So Empire being able to keep pace is a good sign.
It's a really important observation, Parker, and I'm curious what's going to happen moving forward. I'm going to be honest, I wish this were a best of 5. Wish we could have that in the semis, but alas, it's not to be. What we do have here is BDS still trying to clear out. Lots of roamers upstairs for Empire. Ooh, he could do it.
I wonder.
He could do it.
I wonder.
He might get read, though. There's 2 on that balcony. That's the real trick.
I wonder. There's too many angles for him to cover right now, and he doesn't have any intel whatsoever, and you can see it with that just subtle shake of the head that he doesn't know exactly what decision to make. E1D will get burned, and a move onto Lumber as they hop through white, and Shaiiko still holds that spot. He doesn't want to take the engagement himself, so out will go that Gemini and try to find anybody playing over in that direction. This is another reading defense, as we had touched upon, for people who see all the action happening on this top floor.
I think that leaving Shaiiko on the Ana is probably one of the best roles you could put him on, to be honest. He's using that clone to great effect, and he's got the nades, and he's comfortable with the ARs. I mean, it's the perfect spot for him, but JoyStiCK is actually going to get the first kill this round. Down goes Elemzje, who has been very quiet through this map.
1 and 8 for Elemzje is not the result they need from him, but goodness, at least you have Shaiiko playing exceptionally well. Speaking of, he's on white stairs, and BDS trails in numbers, but more importantly, the dagger that can be to their chances is the 35 seconds that remain for them to be able to pull off any kind of execute. Shaiiko still in this position is gone. 6 removes a piece of utility and some toxic gas breathed in by Shaiiko as he has to head back upstairs. Dan was lurking down below. He's made his way back to the 2nd floor and will gun them down as best as he can, but he's got an avenue to now take up top, wary of a potential claymore, but it doesn't look like there's any flank watch. The teams will trade back and forth as Dan has the attention of one. BriD going for the defuse, but he has to peel off for a second. Finished off by Scyther, but BriD takes out ShepparD, and Scyther's still in there. He's going to make them all pay. 3 seconds left, and miles away from the diffuser means that BDS will not be able to take the round, and Empire equalize yet again. These two teams going back and forth.
What a match, Parker. This even exchange of rounds here for both squads has been truly impressive to behold. That last round had a lot of twists and turns. Shaiiko in a great position, but there's the smoke. And again, Empire's smoke control is perfect, allowing them to create space where there was not any. Following that, Dan on a roam just underneath New Balcony. He's in a position to potentially do some work, deny the push in through reading door, but he's spotted and he's feeling the vertical pressure. So what does he do? No hesitation, starts making a play on red. That distracts RaFaLe, who now cannot help his team on the actual site hit. Everything small matters more here, Parker. Are you noticing that?
Yeah.
All the little actions, they go a lot further. And it's just fun. It's fun to watch.
Small mistakes being punished by both teams, and you know, we tend to harp on mistakes because teams at this caliber shouldn't be committing too many.
We're at a point now, yeah.
But there's a lot of intricacies and a lot of small details, minute details that go into each round of Rainbow Six, so it's very easy for us to nitpick the small things that go wrong. At the same time, we cannot talk about those mistakes in a vacuum. You have to praise the opponents and be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's been a lot of both here. I think mostly just good siege in general from both teams. This setup here from Empire, by the way, is similar to the one that they did last time, but I think they moved their mirror window just a little bit. So they still have a similar mirror window setup, it's just slightly different. We'll see if this time the separate one or the changes will work out for Empire. Overall, it's much similar compared to some of the other changes we've been seeing, especially when BDS went to that bottom floor. Which, by the way, again, we haven't been seeing a lot more of that bottom floor, and I wouldn't imagine we're going to see much of it. Come on, 3rd time's a charm. There you go.
Only 3 defenses of the kitchen bomb site through these 11 rounds, and they've all been won by the attackers.
Yeah, it's been really rough defending that site. And again, I don't think we're going to see any more of it. And now that Empire are on defense, and they have the advantage of being able to say, never mind. I think that's pretty good for them.
There's the rocket ship.
Yep, once again
in the wall.
Dropping down the rocket ship.
Shaped very similarly to the one that Jeff Bezos.
Yes.
Or Jeff Bezos, depending on who it's
from.
Flew in outer space from.
Yeah, he did do that.
A very unique shape.
A very unique shape, Parker. I've never, not emulating.
Definitely looks like a rocket
anything.
Ship. Yes,
it's
correct.
a distinctly rocket ship.
JoyStiCK down below now as we almost hit the halfway mark. I feel like these BDS rounds are going by so much faster than we saw from the Empire rounds on attack.
Yeah.
They are very wary of any of this play.
Well, we've been talking about how slow Empire's attacks have been through this whole tournament, so it's not surprising that they're going to bring some slow attacks against BDS. And they got enough rounds. 3-3, that's not bad. Yeah. So it's not the end of the world. The question is these next couple rounds. These are the most important of the map.
You know, there's one player from Empire on white stairs right now as Scyther's playing off of that roll. JoyStiCK gets the drop onto BriD. Diffuser surrendered. One of the best players for BDS is off the board early.
And also JoyStiCK, who was very quiet on the first half, has started to have much more of an impact here on the second. Those impactful frags, they go a long way.
Reunited with that Jaeger roll, doing so effectively, and he manages to kill Elemzje. Excuse me? Scyther goes down, and JoyStiCK will try to get back in, but RaFaLe will keep his team in this one. Shaiiko on the defuse in the middle of the site as RaFaLe tries to give him good coverage, and it looks to be successful. Shaiiko gets the diffuser down, and immediately BDS turns tail and flees. They'll set themselves up in the post plant as JoyStiCK has made his way back up top. Always falls, and despite JoyStiCK's earlier efforts, BDS have taken control of the round. Once again, trying to deny Empire from winning rounds back-to-back. Half of the diffuser down, and JoyStiCK will need to clutch. An ace is what is required to give his team the round. He sees one, takes it down. Diffuser far away, but Renshiro stops him, and BDS move to match point.
Wow. Frankly, Parker, that's a lot of problems for Empire. It's a plant in the middle of main bar on the outside. There's a mirror window looking at that. Nobody playing it, though, clearly, and Shaiiko gets that plant down easy peasy. Oh, boy. Mostly thanks to the 2 entry picks from RaFaL. And those are obviously the most important things in that round is he managed to open up the site for his team. Once that was a post plant and there was still a BDS player on the roof, there was absolutely no chance that we would see Empire clutch that one up. So now, match point, as you mentioned, and the score, well, it's been going back and forth, but if BDS managed to upset that, then we're moving on to map 2 already.
Empire better be very confident in this round because both teams still have their timeouts remaining.
Oh, look at this.
And they're going to go to the one bomb site that no defensive team has won thus far.
Yeah, this is, well,
so
it's risky.
They've got to know something that we don't.
Of course.
Because Empire, on the very final round of regulation, with a timeout available, did not take it. And on top of that, to make matters even more confusing, they go to the bomb site that so far is 3-0 for the attackers.
Yeah, it's been pretty rough on this bottom floor. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Empire's going to set this up and play it out. They've got the Echo yet again, but those Yokais have not been truly that effective for the defense so far through this map. It's just that when you're dealing with a team that is so aware of the Echo's potential, and they counter it so directly by just, you know, keeping an eye on the ceiling, it's hard to make him that effective. And there's not a lot of teams like that, but... Oh, is he? Can you do that? I want to see this. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Coming to a ranked game near you.
Parker, you said that they knew something we didn't, and now everyone knows exactly as you say it. Look forward to seeing that more in ranked, everybody. I actually kind of like that, though, because Echo is woefully underpicked in ranks. And I think it's just because people don't know how to use them.
Also because at the moment, for teams that aren't as well structured as pro teams, there are usually better options.
Often,
like,
yeah.
for example, taking all 3 spots and then having nobody in the bomb site.
Welcome to ranked. A joyous experience for everyone of all ages, as long as you're old enough to play the game.
This is, of course, a joke.
Yes.
We don't want to insult your sensitivity.
No, of course. That's actually a terrible experience.
Oh my! And speaking of terrible experiences, JoyStiCK is going to have a rough one as he falls very first for a team that is currently looking to be knocked out by BDS. That is not the early round that you want to have.
No, definitely not an ideal result there for Empire. And we talked about JoyStiCK's potential influence on the outcome of these matches, and him being gone, that is rough. BDS are still clearing out the roamers too. Like they aren't even going for the site hit yet. They're focused on being sure they've got all of the staircases locked up. There's no roamers. They can open up from above before they start risking it. Speaking of opening up from above, here we go.
Renshiro in this very pivotal position that we've talked about. This is the office of Sledge, and you can address all further inquiries to him and his hammer playing on the 2nd floor. As once again, you can cover all those rotations if required. Walls getting opened up, hatches getting opened up, mayhem as wood shards rain down on the defenders below. BDS have that numbers advantage. They haven't pushed it just yet, but with JoyStiCK being as critical to Empire's success over the last couple rounds, him being the first one to die is not ideal.
Shaiiko in his typical pivotal position, deep inside of White Garage. He could do a lot of work from here, and he has done a lot of work from here. Usually when he plays here, he's holding it down for his team, and he's the reason why it's so difficult for the defense to counter the plant attempt, which will come sometime in the next 20 to 30 seconds.
Flashes to burn anybody playing over by VIP. Grenade gets tossed on in from Shaiiko as well. They don't know if there's anybody over there yet. Haven't droned it out anytime soon. Another grenade goes in looking for a bounce, but it gets eaten, and the Surya Gate is still up. A deployable shield as well as Shaiiko shrugs off some damage. 24 seconds remaining, but BriD's in the site. He's getting the diffuser down, and nobody seems to know it. They're all too tricked by Shaiko's play, and they will commandingly try to retake as BriD gets out of dodge successfully, and BDS's coverage is picture perfect. Everybody faltering. Scyther on the retake gets the first kill for Empire, traded out by Elemzje, leaving ShepparD and his yokai-less Echo to try and do something. But it's a role reversal as he's boxed out of the sight. From the back, his position given away. Down goes Elemzje, through the boards, but no! Shaiiko seals the deal. BDS take their map, and they're up 1-0.
Big win there for BDS, and congratulations on the first map of the series. Kafe going their way, as clearly Empire were outclassed on that map.
I don't understand this. 4 successful rounds for the